discuss these questions. What is learner autonomy? What is the teacher's role in the autonomous learning process? And what strategies we can implement to provide students with the idea of their autonomous state in learning. And what do you think? What is learner autonomy? Think about it. You don't have to type it yet, because I will have another question for you. So what is autonomy? When we think, when we say autonomous, what can be autonomous? Yeah, if we look at the student, there can be an autonomous student, and there might be this kind of image in our head. A student who is studying himself, is responsible for his own studying and can do it without any help, right? And here we have a student who is studying really hard. If we think about the teacher in this process, this is kind of a teacher of an autonomous student. He doesn't have anything to do, we might think, yeah. But this model might be seen by those who are used to teaching in a way where the teacher is a resource of information. But it is important to remember that these days we've got so many information resources that actually in a perfect imagination of futuristic studies of 60s and 70s, we wouldn't need any teacher these days, because there is enough information itself. But if we think about it, is it possible that a student studies without the teacher? Is it possible to find all the information, to sort out, categorize information, compare properly, find realistic information if we're talking about the internet? There are many courses like Future Learn or Coursera and lots of them. But if there is no teacher, how students find out about these resources? How do they know that these resources are appropriate to use and that there are so many possibilities? So it is important these days that the teacher is still there in the autonomous process, but he doesn't present practice and make students produce the information. But what he does is he facilitates the process of discovery of this information, facilitates the process of using this information, and in between of discovering and using is some controlled practice and strategies implementation. Okay. If we look at the definition, at one of the trustworthy, that's a good word, resources, Cambridge Dictionary, Cambridge Online Dictionary. By the way, this is one of the most visited websites all over the world. It's in 100 websites, even more popular than Facebook. Cambridge Dictionary gives this definition to us. Independent, autonomous is independent and having the power to make your own decisions. being independent doesn't mean being completely alone without a teacher, right? Having power to make your own decision. This is something we also need to teach our students. So if we think about an autonomous student, what characteristics do you expect from that kind of learner? And you can see the question on the slide. Which characteristics do you expect from the autonomous learner? Okay, curious, determined to research. Nice. Thank you. Serious. Okay, self-motivation, determined, curiosity, interested. Responsibility for their own success. That's a really good one. Ability to learn independently, responsible and organized. Confidence, ambitious, serious. Hello. Okay. Inquisitiveness. That's a nice one. All right. Yeah. Decision making, independence. Okay. Thank you. Confident. That's a good one. So you are talking about, you were mentioning the characteristics of the autonomous students. Let's look at what I suggest. So autonomous learners play an active role in their learning. Autonomous learners make decisions about their learning and reflect and evaluate their learning. So these 3 points are really important. How to reach them, with what kind of activities can we do it? Let's look first at the life competencies. I hope you've learned all of them already if you've been to other webinars, but it's an important part of something we have to teach these days. So there are 6 main life competencies. These are collaboration, critical thinking, creative thinking, communication, social responsibilities, and learning to learn. There is also emotional development as the foundation level, which is not a life competency, because emotional development goes as a through line through all of the competencies, as well as digital skills. And from here, I have chosen 3 main competencies that respond to the idea of autonomous learners. Of course, all of them are important for any case, because these competencies are through lines for any subject. And any subject we teach, we need to include life competencies into our teaching anyways. Development of life competencies. But if we look at developing autonomy, learner autonomy, I've chosen these 3. So to build an autonomous learner, we need to boost their learning to learn competency, collaboration, and critical thinking. Why 3 of these? Because learning to learn, this is the competency that is the most, I would say the most responsible for students' independence. If we look at collaboration, it is impossible to be independent if you are away from other people. Yeah, this is not independence. This is being on the the island without people. So being independent, being a part, means being a part of a social cluster, of society, of a group. And being independent in a group is an important part to contribute to the team, and at the same time to have our independence, and to have independence to contribute to the team task. So collaboration here, and critical thinking, because to be an autonomous learner, we can't learn anything. We need to think properly. We need to reflect, and to reflect also for learning to learn, we need to think, and to think critically, and to be critical to ourselves, which means not to be negative, but to be to be honest. Yeah. Okay. So if we look at learning to learn life competency, it has main core areas, 3 core areas. The first one is developing skills and strategies for learning. And this core area includes important techniques such as making notes, storing and retrieving information, as well as techniques for learning and remembering information. In an ELT, English language teaching context, learners also benefit from using strategies to help them understand and communicate in English. There are various methods for engaging in these techniques, and learners need to experiment and choose the one which best suits their own personal style, needs, and resources. This is an abstract from Life Competencies brochure that is available at our cambridge.org website, which you can visit if you press the button on the top of your screen with the logo of Cambridge University Press and the linguist company. So if you press that logo, you will get to cambridge.org, where you can find these brochures under the folder Better Learning. Okay, the next area, you've seen that one, developing skills and strategies for learning. This is something that we need to teach. Core area number 2 for learning to learn competency is taking control of own learning, which implies developing self-regulatory strategies, becoming autonomous, maintaining motivation, and staying focused on the task at hand in order to achieve the best results. To accomplish this, learners need to be clear about their learning goals. Another one, the last one, the third core area, reflecting on and evaluating own learning. It involves learners reflecting on their own learning in order to assess what worked for them and what did not. This reflection can inform decisions regarding whether to persevere with certain courses of action or to make changes. As a result, learners are able to identify and use effective learning techniques and strategies. In addition, learners who keep track of and evaluate their own progress in learning are more able to continuously improve, helping them succeed in reaching their learning goals. Okay, these are abstracts from the brochure, and if we look at the table from the same brochure, it gives us these 3 main core areas, which fall into more descriptions or can-do statements. Yeah, developing skills means engaging in directed activities, using effective systems for finding, keeping, and retrieving information, and so on. So it is also, you can see emotional development here. Yeah, taking control of own learning, taking initiative to improve own learning, managing the learning environment, like keeping order on the desk and things like that, managing attitudes and emotions. So these are the things you can find, and these are the things you need to develop. And if we look at some strategies in regards to learning to learn life competency development, I can suggest this one, for example. My to say list. We ask students to make a list of structures and words that they want to use at the next lesson. They keep this list in front of them, and during the lesson, they have to use all the structures and all the words they've put on this list. They prepare this list at home, and on my to say list is, what does mean? And I need to find a word during the lesson in which I don't know the meaning of this word, and then I need to ask somebody or ask the teacher, what does this mean? And I have to do it during the lesson, and maybe I will take it next week for the next lesson. May I have a pencil, for example, please? This is something I can definitely say during the lesson. I'd like to, and I'm going to. Yeah, I had a student who all the time, he was saying something like, when the task starts, and I give all the instructions, and then I ask, okay, Dmitro, please answer. And he says, I am going to read task 2. And then he starts doing it. That was a lot of fun, but I think he had something like a to-do list in his head. And this is a great thing for students to remember the structures properly and to memorize the vocabulary as well. I have some 2 words like curly and mustache. They can also put pictures on this list, and this is their responsibility how they organize this list. But the main idea is that I prepare a list of structures and I have to use all of them during the lesson. The more I put there, the more I will have to speak. Okay. Another one is self-correction. This is also one of the learning strategies, something the students can plan and then use and reuse as well and add to it. Also, it's error correction. For example, I know that I'm making this mistake all the time. Yeah, third person singular. I have this common mistake and I put it in one column with the mistake. He like, she want. I put it there as a mistake, and on the other column, I put what I should write. He likes, she likes. Next time, when I make another mistake, I put it there again. Don't, doesn't. Have, has. Depend on something, depend off something. This is a very common mistake which fossilizes and can stay with your students till the end of their studying and then go to life. So if they keep track on their mistakes, they put the correct sentence into another column and they keep these lists. And whenever they have a writing task, you may allow your students use their error correction list because they made it on their own, and they can compare what I've written, and then I take this list and I check whether I made any mistakes. If I did, well, I have to put it there again, I guess, or put it to the top of the list or something. So it's not just to write it down, but also to use this list during the tasks, during the writing tasks. I can stick it on my desk somewhere where I need it. Okay, and let students take control on their own learning and how they remember, how they memorize, the new vocabulary or structures or whatever they need to memorize by making flashcards. So students can make their own set of flashcards, one with a gapped sentence. Here I have, she was in of tears. And I can have a set of gapped sentences and a set of words. This one works the best with idioms, for example. And we have here, she was in floods of tears. Another one, synonyms. Another one is like mind maps. We can make mind maps, but also groups of words, food, and all the cards that go to food. Antonyms as well, eager to do something, yeah, and the opposite is reluctant. Definitions, just to rewrite from the dictionary. Translations and pictures. With me, only pictures work the best, and gapped sentences, for not only for idioms, but for everything. These are two main strategies that I was using when I was studying English. And also definitions, but not very much, mostly two of these, because this is how my brain works. I've chosen these strategies. And your students will choose the strategies that work with them better. And it should be their own choice. All you need is to introduce these strategies, and not only once, but many times. Maybe take like throughout the year. Yes. Okay. Another strategy, spaced repetition. This is a very popular strategy, and it was developed by Professor Mays in 1932. And you can find more information on Wikipedia about the spaced repetition, how it works. But this is a great strategy to, if students have to memorize a huge amount of information. It also is used by doctors with the patients who have amnesia. And there are many ways for this kind of technique, but it can be used with students as well, especially when, if we're talking about the 4th grade, they have from 8 to 10 words to remember during the topic, and to remember these words perfectly. And what you can do, maybe not just words, but the whole phrases and structures, to put it in a box, yeah, a set of cards. They, for example, the topic is food. They put a set of cards with all the new vocabulary into a box, whether it's picture cards, whether it's translation cards or definition cards. The more options they use, the better it is for them. And then when they have this set of cards in box 1, they remember it, they memorize it, and for the next day they revise it. Check each other. For example, yeah, I tell a definition and my partner tells me a word, or I show a picture and my partner tells me the word and the context, for example. Then we put it to box 2. Then in a week, we can do the same. Then we do the same in 2 weeks. Then we do the same in 3 weeks, till the end of the topic, actually. And then we can do the same thing for another topic. And we have more words there. So what is spaced repetition? When the periods between the repetitions are increasing with each next repetition. From 1 to 2, it's like 2 days. From 2 to 3, it's a week. From 3 to 4, 2 weeks. This is up to you how to use it. But this is how students will perfectly memorize the new vocabulary, because we tend to forget what we just learned. And then when we have to revise something, for example, for the exam, when we have to revise something, we cannot remember a huge amount of information, which we already forgot because it got into our short-term memory. But if we revise it with spaced repetition, it gets into our long-term memory. So yeah, spaced repetition. Just to revise how it works. Students make a set of flashcards for the vocabulary to be learned. These can be items you assign yourself, or better still, you can get the students to mind their notebooks for vocabulary that has come up during previous lessons, which they personally want to focus on. The set should be reasonably large, not only to make it worthwhile in terms of how much they eventually learn, but also to make sure they have to really exercise their memory. Step 2. During the following lessons, students work in pairs to test each other with the flashcards. Step 3. A couple of lessons later, students test themselves again. Step 4. Wait several lessons and then have the students test themselves again. But by now, it should be clear which ones they have learned and which ones still aren't sticking. Also, if it takes too much time, if it's too energy consuming and resources consuming with flashcards, or if you have too many students in your classroom, you can ask students to use, you can suggest students using apps such as Quizlet and Anki. These are downloadable from Play Market, also from iStore. Is it iStore? And Apple Store. Sorry. I've got Android, so I don't remember the name of that one. These are two applications to memorize the vocabulary, and these use the flashcards. Self-evaluation is really important part for each. Okay, repeating the slide. Anki and Quizlet. These are applications for with flashcards to memorize vocabulary. All right, then self-evaluation. If we look at self-evaluation, I think this one is really great, the one we use for Quick Minds, but you can also remake it for your own materials. So how it works. For example, for Unit 8, these are wildlife, I guess, and we don't only revise the words, but we make can-do statements. I can name some animals and their babies. I can name animals and their babies. And then we look at the pictures and, okay, we can see here, cat, kitten, dog, puppy, and so on. Then we have, I can compare different animals. We don't just say, I learned superlative and comparative, but I can compare animals. Zebras are fast, lions are faster, but cheetahs are the fastest, and so on. The third one, I can talk about my family and my school. The tallest person in my family is, yeah, and so on. The oldest person the oldest student in my class is, and so on. And I can choose the color to show how I feel about this unit and the language. So how I feel I contributed, how successful I am. Good, very good, brilliant. And we didn't put we didn't put bad because well, we have here feeling violet. And if students feel brilliant, this is amazing. If they feel good, okay, good. They shouldn't be negative, right? Because it is an important part of managing emotions. If you feel bad about English, it's not about language at all, right? It's about environment mostly, about atmosphere in the classroom. So if the environment is encouraging, then students will feel good about their language if they didn't learn it very well, and they will have their path to improve. Moving on. Collaboration, a very important part of building independent student. Core areas of collaboration are: first, taking personal responsibility for own contribution to a group task. It refers to a learner's ability to participate actively in group activities through taking on a variety of roles to share their own ideas freely with others and demonstrate a willingness to provide explanations for their own contributions as required. Encouraging effective group interaction. It includes a learner's ability to listen carefully to others and to acknowledge their views, even when conflicting with their own. Learners are thus able to take turns appropriately in a group task, provide constructive feedback, and also put forward their own solutions and ideas in a way that helps the group progress towards completing it. It also involves groups establishing effective ways of working together and offering mutual support to one another. Okay. The third one, managing the sharing of tasks in a group activity. It refers to a learner's ability to identify tasks and subtasks in a group activity and to share them fairly amongst group members. And the last one, working towards task completion. It is related to a learner's ability to ensure the group is making progress towards their goals. This might include evaluating multiple options and points of view during a group activity and recognizing the most suitable solution for the resolution of the task. It also involves effectively identifying and resolving issues that may arise during the course of an activity. Okay, so these are 4 core areas for collaboration. When we look closer, we will find it in the same brochure together with, oh wait, do you think I can share the link? No, I can't. In any case, these are the can-do statements, the descriptions for collaboration: actively contributing to a task, taking on different roles, listening, responding respectfully. And it's all about the independent and autonomous student who has respect for the independence of another student. So listens carefully, but puts forward his own ideas and his own views on how to complete the task in the team. If we look at the exercises from Quick Minds 4 particularly, you can see the task in pairs. there are two cards. One is for student A, another for student B, and we have a communication strategy here. So it's also about communication, how to listen respectfully, how to take turns during the conversation, and using useful language during this task. But the second task, when we learn this communicative strategy for this particular topic, like, do you always go to school that way? Then which new place or country would you like to visit? And then students exchange. One is a traveler, holiday traveler, and another is a traveler in the town. And they exchange information, compare this information. And after that, in task 2, in groups, talk about the different ways you travel or would like to travel. I would change this task a little bit. So I ask students, I set the number. So they think more critically there, because I have only one way to go to school. That's it. I travel by car with my parents. But I would ask students to talk about at least 5 ways how you can get to school or travel around the town, and think about their pros and cons. Of course, with 4 graders, this might be a challenge. Maybe 3 ways will be enough, at least to say, I like, I don't like this or that way, and maybe somewhere explain why, and name all the ways they can name. If we come to critical thinking, here we've got these core areas. Understanding and analyzing ideas and arguments. It refers to a learner's ability to identify and analyze information in order to recognize patterns and relationships. This helps students to gain deeper understanding of ideas and arguments, as well as to interpret and draw inferences about the information they are presented with. And another core area, evaluating ideas and arguments. It's related to a learner's ability to judge which arguments or ideas they can rely on and which they should be skeptical about. This includes evaluating evidence presented in an argument as well as the argument's overall logic. Mastering this competency helps learners draw appropriate conclusions and construct strong arguments themselves. And the third core area for critical thinking, solving problems and making decisions. The one we all named while talking about autonomous students. So it involves many skills such as identifying and analyzing problems, gathering appropriate information, evaluating a range of options, making decisions about which options to implement, and finally evaluating those decisions to further refine solutions. All this, I repeat, you can find at the Cambridge.org website, and to get there, find on the top of your screen the Cambridge University Press logo, click on it and go to Cambridge.org website, where you will need a folder, Better Learning. There you will see live competencies brochures. Okay. With critical thinking, we've got these can-do statements. You can look through them, like identifying and classifying information. And actually, this particular table is designed specifically for primary students. This is not for teenagers. This is not for adults. This is for primary students, especially at grade 4. This is something they have to know already, have to be able to do already. Okay, recognizing patterns and relationships, interpreting and drawing inferences from arguments to data, evaluating specific information or points in argument, and so on and so on. You can read it yourself. But what's important here is that this is something we teach not only at the English language. right? This is something math teachers should do as well, especially with critical thinking, history teachers, and so on. In the fourth grade, it's me and the world lesson, and how to work with critical thinking in this age. It is important to train their memory. Just because the life is quite different these days, we look at something, we forget, especially if, when we have this clip thinking with very fast pictures changing all the time. We don't memorize that, but we can train memory for our students, especially when we're in the classroom. We have this possibility to make it a game, have fun with it, and at the same time train their memory. This is a phonics picture, something about bears in chairs, bears on stairs, bears, hairy bears are everywhere. So this is for bears, ear sound. And before we learn the phonics, we can just play a short game just to train their memory. We ask students to look at the pictures and we give it a time limit. For example, 10 seconds to look at the pictures. And I'm giving you these 10 seconds, sorry. Look at the picture. And now, can you please write down in the chat what you've seen at the picture? Whatever you remember, type it in the chat. What was there at the picture? As many details as you can remember. Well, bears are obvious details. What else have you seen? TV set, eating, sitting, standing. Stairs, great. We've got the first one. 2 apples, whoa, plates. 4 sets of bears. At the table, on the stairs, in an armchair. Armchairs, animals watching TV, eating something green, eating from the bowl. The table is big, drinking tea. 2 bears are eating soup. Okay. Thank you very much. Let's come back to the picture. Now we will definitely see more details. For example, that there is a set of 3 bears, and 4 bears. Altogether, this is 10. So this is correct. Then we have something green. I guess these are pears. Bears eating pears. 2 bears are eating soup. Blue plates, somebody wrote. Watching TV. Yeah, we could also try to recollect the color of the floor, the color of the wall, what's in the middle, what's next to it, and so on. How many chairs we can see. How many armchairs we can see, what colors are the stairs, which bear is smiling, and things like that. So the more students can recollect, the better it is. And we could also ask questions, but it's better if they are trying to produce something. And you don't have to demand that they produce the bits of perfect sentences, like there are 3 bears sitting in a chairs and watching TV. They would never say it, as well as you don't. You're just typing the words. Yeah, this is not how we solve a problem. We are trying to get into the sense of it. And also, this activity is not for increasing students' vocabulary. Yeah, this one is to activate what they already learned, not to pay much attention to what they don't know, but to activate their language they have and to train their memory. And it takes not much time. Open the books, look at the picture, 5 seconds, close the books, think of it, and that's it. And puzzle your students to develop their critical thinking. I love Quick Minds 4 because there is a puzzle given at the very beginning of the story, and this puzzle is being solved by the heroes, Ben and Lucy, throughout the whole book. They have this puzzle to solve with each new story, and they take this map and they go with this map throughout the whole Quick Minds 4 course. This is amazing, and this is something that keeps the intrigue for all this, well, for students who like to be puzzled. And I'm pretty sure that at grade 4, everybody likes puzzles. I was a big fan of such stories, detective stories and things like that. So Quick Minds 4 includes the whole story like puzzle, where students also have to think critically together with the characters. Personalize, compare, and contrast. These are critical thinking skills activities. So if we look at the text in the Quick Minds 4 activity book, the text is from reading time section at the end of the book. We look at Evgenia, who tells us about sports activities in her class, at her school. What we can do with this text to personalize it and to develop critical thinking at the same time. We ask students to compare what's in common with me and Evgenia and what is different between me and Evgenia. This is an individual task. So, hello, my name is Evgenia. I think about it at once. My name is Tanya. Let me tell you about our school sports day. Okay, it's always very exciting, and this year, what's going to happen at my school this year? I need to think, yeah, and to compare. Then our class teams are very strong because there are some students who are very good at handball and volleyball. I've got students who are good at football and basketball at my class. Okay, moving on. I can't play or score goals this year because my friend, I covered it with a speech bubble. I can't read it now. But I think we can win some prizes. In the morning, I'd like to play in the chess competition, and at 3:30, I'd like to be in the swimming race. Where I'd like to be today in the morning. I'm having math, for example, yeah? And then at 3:30, I'm going dancing. Okay, so we compare at the same time when we read, and we put it into the Venn diagram, and then actually we can write completely the same story, but it's personalized and it's mine. Yeah, it's a story about me, which at once, we develop students' empathy to the character for future reading for pleasure. Because when we read for pleasure, we sympathize with the main character or another character, but this is a skill that is developed through such short activities like this one. So problem solving. I think we still have a little time for such a task. If we are thinking about problem solving, it's not just critical thinking, because this is both collaboration, communication, critical thinking, learning to learn, social responsibility, and creativity. Right? So all the skills are involved into problem solving, and an independent student is the one who can solve problems independently. And one of the skills is to ask my teacher for help where needed. Yeah, because if I see that I cannot do it myself, I ask for help. This is normal. This is not about being dependent. This is about knowing my strengths and weaknesses. So problem solving. I want to give you a short task to find, okay, I will introduce it. And this is a short task to solve now in the chat. This is a crow. We all know crows. They're really smart. These are nuts. The crow cannot use nutcrackers, not any kind of nutcrackers, but we need to help the crow to eat these nuts. How can we do it? To make the crow happy? Can you please type in the chat 3 ways how to help the crow eat the nuts? How can the crow eat the nuts? Maybe so she can do it herself, not we for her, but she has to do it on her own. Three ways. Okay, we've got one. Drop it, fly up and throw it down. Okay. Ask a squirrel for help. Oh, that's a good one. Not very realistic, but really nice. Break the nuts. Drop them from the tree. Yes, crows do eat nuts. Throw it down. Drop. Crack nuts with the beak. Might work, but not really. The nuts are firmer than the bird's beak. It's like cracking the nuts with our teeth. Not very smart, and birds are much smarter than people, these birds, in terms of knowing their own organism. Throw it on the ground, throw it on the road, under the wheels. Okay, we've got 2 different ways. Bring the nuts to the park. It ran away, that answer. They can be broken apart. Show them a nut tree. Leave it with the nutcracker. Okay. Put it under the car wheel. Put them on the road. Okay. Put it in door frame. Okay, we've got the 3 ways, finally. But I think to put it in the door frame, the crow should be really smart. Yeah, but I think we've all seen how the crows fly up and throw the nuts down. This is something we've seen a lot. More advanced crows fly up and throw it down on the road, but not actually the road where there are cars all the time, where there is heavy traffic or something, but on the road where the crossroad is. So when they see the traffic light is red, they go and take the nuts that might be broken not only with the car wheels, but also with the people's feet. So yeah, crows are really smart, and we can help the crow solve this problem. This is something we can ask our students to do, because there is always this way, fly up and drop it down. This is something we've seen, we've observed maybe. Students maybe not yet, but still. If we ask students to find 3 ways, they will be thinking more. If we ask them to find 5 ways, they will be thinking even more. Yeah, and drop it from the tree, drop it from the house doesn't count, because it's about drop it. It's one and the same way, just on the different heights. Yeah, so we teach them think critically. Asking for the male crow's help. This is so nice, but not problem solving. Okay, most of the ideas were taken from Samantha Lewis' article, Encouraging Learner Autonomy, which you can also find on Cambridge.org website. And I'm reminding that autonomous learners play an active role in their learning, using their learning to learn skills, make decisions about their learning, using also learning to learn and collaboration skills, reflect and evaluate their learning, using critical thinking and learning to learn skills. And check out Quick Minds 4. This is a great edition. I think the best one out of all the 4, with many games where fun is not about just game, but about challenge and success balance. Full of adaptation for Ukraine, with Ukrainian cultural element, more grammar and more reading tasks, with a lot of critical thinking tasks where students really need to turn on their brains, with lots of communication and collaboration tasks, with phonics still there in grade 4, with developing their skills and CLIL, content, okay, I forgot the abbreviation. Content and context learning, content learning and language integration. Okay. There are quizzes with revision and fun. And there is a special new section for festivals and holidays in Ukraine at the end of the book, because now all the adaptations are provided in the book itself, in all the art, learn to think activities, and so on. There is new evaluation system, which I already mentioned during the webinar. And you can find everything at the Linguist UA website with the samples, worksheets, and many additional resources for Quick Minds for Ukraine. We still have video lessons. We still work with articles, provide you with webinars, quick notes, and worksheets that will help your students learn grammar and read better during the lessons or at home. If you have any questions, I think we still have 3-4 minutes to answer those. Otherwise, these are my contact details. If you have questions about anything about Cambridge University Press, I'm here to answer.